Welcome. I'm going to read an extra story this week. This one is a story that I know from my childhood. Caps for Sale, and I can't say the author's name. But let's get started. Caps for Sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried his on the top of his head, which he had on his own checkerboard cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, on the very top, red caps. He'd walk up and down the streets, holding himself very straight as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps for sale! Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked down the street, and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. So he began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll walk in the country," he said, "and I'll walk out of town, slowly, slowly, as to not upset his caps." He started walking, and he walked for a long time until he came to the big tree. "This is a nice place to rest," he thought, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back a little against the tree trunk so not to disturb his caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel that they were straight. First his own checker cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps at the very top. So they were all there, and he went to sleep. And he slept for a very long time. And when he woke up refreshed and rested, but before standing up, he placed his hand, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in place. He felt his own checkered cap. He looked up to the right of him, no caps. Then he looked to the left of him, no caps. Then he looked in back of him, no caps. And he looked behind a tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or brown or red or blue cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. He finally spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking his fist at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fists back at him. "Tis, tis," they said. And that made the peddler so angry, he shook both his hands. "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him. "Tis, tis, tis." Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tis, tis, tis, tis." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both of his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my cap." But the monkeys only stamped both of their feet at him and said, "Tis, tis, tis." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own hat and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off their cap. And all of the gray caps, and all of the brown caps, and all of the blue caps, and all of the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So then the peddler picked up his cap and put it back on his head. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red cap at the very top. And slowly he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." I hope you liked that book, and I hope to have extra ones every once in a while for you guys to enjoy. Thank you.